Hey everyone, it's Dave here with Blue Bears Games. To this week's video, we're going to be doing a version of Kraken Packs. It's more like an unboxing. We're going to do two separate videos, and I'm going to release them both for this week. First up, I have to explain why I'm doing it this way. So I ordered my Zendikar Rising stuff. It was one case, 6 boxes of the set boosters. And then for the first time, I ordered my first collector's booster box because I kind of wanted to get the feeling for it, and I figured what better time than when there are fetch lands available. However, I ordered them later than normal, and unfortunately I guess the shortage in supply, because I ordered too late, puts me in the back end of it, so I have to wait 2 weeks before I get it. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So I did, however, because I ordered the Commander stuff early enough before anything else, I did get that in time. So either that or there wasn't a shortage of the Commander stuff. So we're going to do 2 videos this week. It's going to be the Commander stuff, and then we're going to go into the other stuff later. So this is my unboxing for the Land's Wrath Commander for Zendikar Rising. So let's go ahead and open up and see what we got. I do not know how to open this box, so bear with me. It's an unusual box in comparison to what the normal boxes look like, so I'm trying to figure out. Oh, look like there. I don't care about the packaging, so I'm probably just going to rip it open. So, packaging doesn't mean anything to me, so I will just rip tear. Alright, there we go. Alright, so what do we got here? We get extra stuff besides just the deck. What fun stuff. So we got the deck box, which looks pretty cool. It's actually a Commander style deck box. That's actually really not bad. Alright, let's fold that back up and look at that later. And then, of course, the life counter. What did they give us this time? Starts at 40. So 20 on one side, 40 on the other, just like the other ones. So we got that, and then we got an insert for Land's Wrath. Looks like just an insert and a little bit of a, and a playmat. Or learn how to play Commander playmat. Alright. Alright. And then the coup de grace here is the deck. Alright. So, the Land's Wrath version of Commander for Zendikar Rising gives us the Commander is Oben Moldaya Ancestor. It's white, green, red, 1 of any for a 3/3. It's an elf spirit, and at the beginning of each combat on your turn, up to 1 target land you control becomes an XX elemental creature with trample and haste until end of turn, where X is Oben's power and it's still a land. With a landfall ability of whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Kind of like this one. I would like to. I don't think I actually have a green, red, white Commander in mind for my wheel attempt, which I'm trying to get every color combination for a Commander deck. So this may be this color's combination. I don't know yet. I'll take a look later. Let's see. I did come up with a green, not a green, red. What was it? A white, black Commander that I actually want to use. So I will explain that at some point. So we're going to go through this deck. I'm going to cut it in half so that I can at least hold it. Alright, so you've seen the deck list, I'm sure, somewhere, but have you actually seen the cards? These are actually, most people ask the question, are these worth it? At $20, you're damn right these are worth it. I don't care how good or bad the decks are. The singles in here are really good. So I'll go over each one with the physical card, and you can look at a deck list. I'm sure I'll post that in the video later. So it starts with Absent Falconer, 3 to cast, 2/3 Human Soldier with Outlast for a white. So for a white, you can tap it and put a +1/+1 counter on this creature and only use it as a sorcery. And each creature you control with the +1/+1 counter has flying. Banishing Light, 3 to cast enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. Condemn, 1 white, instant. Put target attacking creature on the bottom of its owner's library. Its controller gains life equal to its toughness. Crush Contraband is 4 For an instant, choose one or both. Exile an artifact. Exile target enchantment. Elite Scale Guard. 1 white, 4 Veni, so it's 5 for a 2/3 human soldier. When it enters the battlefield, bolster 2, and to bolster you have to choose a creature with the least toughness among creatures you control and put 2/1/1 counters on it. And then it has whenever a creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Core Cartographer, 4 to cast for a 2/2. It's a core scout. And it has whenever it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a plains card and put it on the battlefield tapped and then shuffle your library. Retreat to Amiria. I actually like, as far as the retreats go, I kind of like a lot of them. I like the black one. This one I like a lot too, just because it's one of the few ways that you can create a token by not doing anything, except for doing what you have to do. So it's 1 white, 3 of any. It's an enchantment that has landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield, you create either create a 1/1 core ally creature token, or you have creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. It's actually one of the better retreats in this the cycle. Acidic Slime, 5 to cast. It's 2 green, 3 generic. It's a ooze, a 2/2 ooze with Death Touch, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy either an artifact, a creature, or a land. Armorcraft Judge, it's 4 to cast for a 3/3. It's an Elf Artificer. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each creature that you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. May look at putting that into my Peer Toothy deck because it's card draw. Beanstalk Giant, it's a 7 to cast giant that has adventure. Its adventure is to search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. It's a star, which the stars are equal to the number of lands you control. Circuitous Route, it's a good card. It's 4 to cast. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and or gate cards, and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. I am making a Golos deck. Definitely have that in there because it's a Lands Matter deck. Elvish Rejuvenator, it's 3 to cast for a 1/1. It's an Elf Druid. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped, and put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order, or in a random order. Embodiment of Insight is 5 to cast for a 4/4. It's an elemental with vigilance, and land creatures you control have vigilance. Its landfall ability is whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may have target land you control become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste until end of turn, and it's still a land. Evolution Sage, good card. 3 to cast for a 3/2. So right off the bat, it's got good power toughness. It's an Elf Druid, so it's got great creature types. And whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, proliferate. So as far as a creature goes, especially in green, this is probably one of the top cards that you can actually play in almost anything green does. Far Wanderings, good card too. It's a 3 to cast sorcery. Search your library for a basic land card and put that onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. Then it has Threshold. For those of you who are a little newer to the game, Threshold is a great ability in this game. I wish they would do it more. Threshold is basically if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you have Threshold. So then the card does something different, and in this case, it says instead, if you have Threshold, search for up to 3 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. That's a great card. One of the better ones. Another good one, Fertilid, 3 to cast for a 0/0. Enters the battlefield with 2 +1/+1 counters. And then you can pay a green and a colorless to remove one of the counters. And target player searches their library for a basic land card and puts it onto the battlefield tapped. So good card as well. A lot of good cards. Here's an even better one. Wow, a lot of good stuff here. I see why they said for 20 bucks this is well worth it. I might even go ahead and purchase a couple more just because there's so much good stuff in here. Harmonize. It's 2 green, 2 of any sorcery, and it literally just is draw 3 cards. Green doesn't have a lot of draw. This is its best one. Harrow is 3 to cast for an instant. Sacrifice a land, and then go search your library for 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield. Inspiring Call. Draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it, and those creatures gain indestructible until end of turn. It's a 3 to cast instant. Another good card. Wow, there are so many good cards in here. Keeper of Fables. I actually put this in. I do with my budget decks. I always make a cat deck because they're very popular. This is one of the best cats they've made in a while because it does what you need. It really does fill the hole in green. So it's a 5 to cast 4/5. So good power toughness for converted mana cost. It's a cat, so it has great benefits being a cat. And then whenever one or more non-human creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, draw a card. It does so much. Another good card. Colony Heart Expedition, 2 to cast enchantment, has landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a quest counter on it, and then remove 3 quest counters from it and sacrifice it, and then search your library for up to 2 basic land cards and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Another one. Wow, so many good cards. Kodama's Reach. 3 to cast sorcery that has Arcane. For those of you who don't know what Arcane is, there's not really a big thing about them. There are cards that say spliced onto Arcane. Not really relevant, mostly in Magic today. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal those cards, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Put 1 onto the battlefield tapped and 1 into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Phew, lots of good stuff. One of the retreats I don't like is Retreat to Kazandu. As far as the power level compared to others, there are some good things about it, especially if you're using Proliferate and stuff like that, so it can be good, but it's not the greatest. It's 3 to cast with landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or you gain 2 life. Satyr Wayfinder, 2 to cast for a 1/1 Satyr, and when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them into your hand and put the rest into your graveyard. Spore Mound, I actually use Spore Mound in my Golgari fungus deck, my Slimefoot deck. It's 2 green, 3 of any for a fungus. It's a 3/3, and it has landfall. So whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, create a 1/1 green sapling token. Spring Bloom Druid. It's 3 to cast for a 1/1. It's an elf druid, so good creature types. When Spring Bloom Druid enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice a land. If you do, search your library for up to 2 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and then shuffle your library. So it has crop rotation built into it. Or actually, is that not crop rotation? The one that gets 2. Let's see, what do we got? Tusk Guard Captain, 3 to cast for a 2/3. It's a human warrior with Outlast for a green. And then each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it has trample. I see why the Retreat to Kazandu was in there now. You have my Elder. Back in the day, this was the hottest green card you could have. It's still really one of the best green cards out there. So it's a 2 green 1 for a human druid. Being a druid lately means something because there's a lot of druid tribal out there you can do. It's a 2/1, and when it dies, you may search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, reveal them, and put them into your hand, and then shuffle your library. And he has self-sacrifice for 2, and you can draw a card. So he, back in the day, was how you could, as green, get your hand filled really easily because you sacrifice them, draw a card, and get 2 lands, so you had 3 cards that you got out of it. One of my favorite cards ever printed, actually, is this, Zendikar's Royal. 2 green, 3 of any. It's an enchantment with landfall, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 green elemental creature token. I like tokens, I like token makers, and if you can make them without having to do anything but do what you're supposed to do anyway, especially in green, putting lands into play is all it does, really, to be honest. Trove Warden, 2 white, 2 of any, 3/4 for a cat beast. It has vigilance and landfall, and its landfall ability is whenever a land enters the battlefield, exile target permanent. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your. Exile target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. And when Trove Warden dies, put each permanent card exiled with it onto the battlefield under the control of that card's owner. Okay. Interesting. And white does do that. It's not outside of the color pie. Geode Rager, 2 red, 4 of any for a 4/3 elemental with first strike. Landfall, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, goad each creature target player controls. And goading means that until your next turn, those creatures attack each combat if able and attack a player other than you. And please excuse my inability to speak today. I actually had dental work done today, so I'm a little numb still. So I'm trying to get through that. All right. The bad boy of this, I think this is one of the higher value cards. This is the second highest value card, I believe, in this precon. Admonition Angel, 3 white, 3 of any. Monetarily speaking, by the way. For a 6/6 Angel with flying and landfall. And the landfall is whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may exile target non-land permanent other than Admonition Angel. When Admonition Angel leaves the battlefield, return all those cards that were exiled with it to their owner under their owner's control. Emiria Angel, 2 white, 2 of any for a 3/3 flying angel. Its landfall abilities, whenever land enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a 1/1 bird creature token with flying. White bird, by the way. Emiria Shepherd, a lot of good angels here. 2 white, 5 of any for a 4/4 angel with flying, and its landfall ability is whenever land enters under your control, you may return target non-land permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. If the land is a plains, you may return that non-land permanent to the battlefield instead. Hour of Revelation. I actually like this card. A lot of people don't, but I do a lot of token decks. So, oh no, this is the other one. Okay, I'm sorry. I do like this card. It's not the one I thought it was, but it's 3 white, 3 of any for sorcery. It costs 3 less to cast if there are 10 or more non-land permanents on the battlefield, and destroy all non-land permanents. I was thinking of the one that destroys all non-token creatures. Planar Outburst, 2 white, 3 of any, destroy all non-land creatures, and it has Awaken for 3 white and 5 of any. So when you cast it, you can pay the additional, or you can cast it for 3 white and 5 of any, and then when you do, you put 4 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control, and it becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste that's still a land. Sun Titan, I believe, is in almost every white deck that they're going to precon going forward, because it's been in every white precon I've seen. 2 white, 4 of any, it's a 6/6 giant with vigilance, and then whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Together Forever. If I'm not mistaken, isn't that a song? 2 white for an enchantment. When Together Forever enters the battlefield, support 2. And to support means put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. That's what support 2 is. Support 1 is put a +1/+1 counter on 1 creature. For 1, and it's got a colon, so you can do it as often as you want. Choose target creature with a counter on it. When that creature dies this turn, return that card to its owner's hand. It's not bad, actually. The main reason I actually bought this deck was not only because it was $20 for probably some of the best cards you've ever seen, but I'm an old school player, so one of the combos I like is Sylvan Library and Abundance. I have like 7 Sylvan Libraries, but I only had 1 Abundance. And that's just odd to me, considering this was way cheaper to get. But Abundance is a 2 green, 2 of any enchantment. And in green, remember, in green, this is where it gets really good. If you would draw a card, you may instead choose land or non-land and reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a card of the chosen kind. Put that card into your hand and put all other cards revealed this way on the bottom of your library in any order. This card does more than you think. I don't know why this is so cheap. Maybe it was reprinted a bunch of times, but here's what this card does. Somebody, and it's only relevant against blue for the most part, but if they're trying to make you, say, Stroke of Genius or make you draw your deck, okay, this card prevents that, because you can always say, instead of drawing, I choose this, and then once you run out of that card, even if you do, like if you choose land every time, you could draw all your lands from your deck if you're being forced to draw, and once you've run out of that card, all that happens is it doesn't find it, and it just shuffles your deck back together. Or actually, technically, you can choose the order that it goes back in, so you can even stack your deck. This card does a lot more than people think, and I think it's highly underrated. It's one of my favorite cards in history. I also am a blue player, and recently I've started liking green, so that's why. The Mending of Dominaria. It's 2 green, 3 of any. It's in the Saga. The first Saga and second Saga are both mill 2 cards. Then you may return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And the final saga is return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then shuffle your graveyard into your library. Excuse me. Alright, up next, Multani Yavimai's Avatar. 2 green, 4 Veni. I've found a new love for this card too. It's a 0/0 legendary elemental avatar with reach and trample. It gets +1/+1 for each land you control and each land card in your graveyard. And for 2, a green and 1 of any, you can return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand to return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. This enables a lot of things. In a landfall deck specifically, this card can be really good. You have find ways to sack it, so you can get it in your graveyard, so you can pay 2 to return 2 lands to your hand, so you can play more lands for more landfall triggers. It's just really a good card. I found a new love for it since I'm making Golos lands. I've found, that ability is really good. And this is Renewal, 6 to cast for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 3 basic lands. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library and gain 7 life. Rampaging Balos. I actually needed one of these for a deck I'm making, so that's actually super helpful. 2 green, 4 Veni for a 6/6 beast with trample. Landfall says whenever a land enters under your control, you may create a 4/4 beast creature token. Return of the Wild Speaker. Another good card. 1 green, 4 Veni. Instant, you choose one. Either draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn. Rites of Flourishing. 3 to cast enchantment. I actually am deciding whether or not I want to put this in Muldrotha or not. Or not Muldrotha, I'm sorry, Golos. So it says at the beginning of each player's upkeep... I'm sorry, not upkeep. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on each of their turns. It's a group hug style card. It's a good card. Sylvan Advocate, another one of my favorites recently. 2 to cast, 2/3 Elf Druid ally. Has vigilance, and as long as you control 6 or more lands, Sylvan Advocate and land creatures you control get +2/+2. Waker of the Wilds, 2 to cast, 2 green, 2 of any, so 4 to cast. 3/3 Merfolk Shaman for 2 green and X. Put X +1/+1 counters on target land you control, and that land becomes a 0/0 elemental creature with haste, and it's still a land. Living Twister, 2 red and a green. For a 2/5 elemental, for a red and 1 and discarding a land card, Living Twister deals 2 damage to any target, and for a green, return tapped land you control to its owner's hand. Mina and Den Wildborn went into Golos just because of its first ability. A red, a green, and 2 of any for a 4/4 elf ally. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. And for a red and a green, and returning a land you control to its owner's hand, target creature gains trample until end of turn. And the real reason I bought this deck, I really wish I would have known that this was going to be reprinted in something that was so cheap. I went out and bought one of these for my Golos deck, but now I may actually just make an actual full-on commander deck for myself made out of Omnath. So it's 2 green, 2 red, 3 of any for a 5/5 elemental. It's a legendary, so it can be your commander. Landfall, so whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token. And whenever Omnath, Locust of Rage, or another elemental you control dies, Omnath deals 3 damage to anything you want. Seer's Sundial. This is actually a really good deck, by the way. 4 to cast, artifact with landfall. Whenever a land enters under your control, you may pay 2 colorless, and if you do, draw a card. Alright, and we're getting down to, it looks like some of the lands, so I'm going to pick up some of the pile here. Alright, so up first on the lands is Needle Spires. It enters tapped. It's dual land of red-white, and for a red, white, and 2, you can make it become a 2/1 red and white elemental creature with double strike until end of turn. That's still a land. And for some reason they put a land, I don't know why the order is weird. Anyway, Ground Assault, 1 green, 1 red for a sorcery. Ground Assault deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. Naya Charm, obviously it's the Naya colors, green, white, red. You get to choose one as an instant. You can either deal 3 damage to target creature, return target card from a graveyard to its owner's hand, or tap all creatures target player controls. Struggle to survive. So the struggle part is 3. It's 1 red, 2 of any. It's an instant. It deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. And the survive part is 1 green, 1 of any with aftermath. So it can only be cast from your graveyard, then you exile it. Each player shuffles their graveyard into their library. Sylvan Reclamation. White, a green, and 3 of any. Exile 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And it has basic land cycling, meaning that you can pay 2 and discard it and go search for a basic land card and put it into your hand. Treacherous Terrain, green, a red, and 6 colorless, it looks like. Yeah, 6 colorless. It deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of lands that player controls. And it itself also has basic land cycling for 2. In every commander deck going forward, we'll get an Arcane Signet, it looks like. It's 2 to cast artifact, and if you don't know what it is, you're very new to the game or you have never played Commander before. But it taps to add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Sandstone Oracle, 7 to cast, 4/4 Sphinx. It's an artifact creature with flying, and when it enters the battlefield, choose an opponent. If that player has more cards in hand than you, draw cards equal to the difference. So if you have 1 card in your hand, they have 7, you can draw 6 cards off of that. Scaretiller, 4 to cast, it's a scarecrow. It's a 1/4 artifact creature. When it becomes tapped, you choose one of the following. Put a land from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, or return target land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. A Soul Ring, I can use more of these for my own personal decks. I'm kind of running low on them. If you don't know what it is, it's a 1 to cast artifact that taps to add 2 colors. Blighted Woodland. So I think we're now getting into the lands, even though I said we were, I thought we were. Anyway, Blighted Woodland taps to add a colorless, or you can pay 4, tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for 2 basic lands, put them onto the battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. Boros Garrison is the red-white duel that enters tapped, and you have to return it's a bounce land. You return a land you control to your owner's hand, to its owner's hand. Boros Guildgate comes into play tapped red-white dual land. It's the gate version. Command Tower, also going to be in every commander deck, probably going forward. It taps to add for 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Cryptic Cave taps to add a colorless, and you can sack it to draw a card, but you can only activate that ability if you control 5 or more lands. Evolving Wilds, and I'm sure I'll find the other one here. There it is. I'll put these 2 together just because they're the same card. Both the Terramorphic Expanse and Evolving Wilds, tap it, sacrifice it, search your library for basic land, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. These go in all my budget decks, so that's important for me because I'm running out of them. Gruul Guildgate is the red-green, comes into play tap dual land, that's a gate. Gruul Turf is the green-red dual land, that's a bounce land. So it comes into play tapped, and then you have to return a land. Jungle Shrine is the, before Triomes were a thing, is the Naya Triland. It comes into play tapped and adds a green, white, or red. Corrosion Verge, one of my favorite cards that I wish that they would complete this cycle and make the rest of these. It enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it to add a colorless, or you can pay 2, tap it and sacrifice it, and search your library for a forest card and a plains card, and put them onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Why I want these to be made? So imagine you're able to go find cards. This can go find things that others can't. It's not a basic. It's a forest and a plains card. So you can go get a savanna. You can go get the, I forget what the green-white dual land, shock land is. You can go get things that say forest and plains, but they don't have to be the basic land type. I wish they would complete this cycle. Myriad Landscape. It enters tapped, adds a colorless, and just like Corrosion Verge, it does the same thing, but a little differently. So this one, 2, tap it, sacrifice it, and search the library for 2 basic land cards that share a land type, and put them onto the battlefield tapped. Naya, I love the panoramas. I actually need more of these for my own personal decks. The panoramas are great because they don't come into play tapped. They automatically tap to add a colorless. Then you can pay 1 and tap and sacrifice them to search your library for, on this version, a mountain, forest, or plains card and put it onto the battlefield tapped. I love these more than I thought I was going to, and I wish that I had more of these in different color combinations. Selesnya Guild Gate is the green-white dual-land gate that comes into play tapped. The Sanctuary is the bounce land that's for green-white. I don't know why there's regular cards in here. Alright, there's more regular cards. Roiling Regrowth is 1 green 2 of any for an instant. Sack a land. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. Murasa Root Grazer, a green and a white. It's a 2/3 beast with vigilance, so power, toughness, and converted mana costs are really good. Has an ability, a good one, vigilance, and it has 2 more. You may put a basic land card from your hand onto the battlefield. It's a really good ability, especially in green-white. Green and white have the ability to search for lands and put them into your hand. People don't give white enough credit, but like there's things like Tithe, Land Tax. I know they're expensive cards, but they're expensive because of what they do. So you can tap it to put a land card from your hand, a basic land card from your hand onto the battlefield, or you can tap it, return target basic land you control to its owner's hand, so you enable more landfall triggers. I think that's most of it. I think the rest is just plains. Let me see, mountains, forests. Yep. All right. So the rest of it's just filled out with basic lands, and then the tokens. So core ally tokens, elemental tokens. These are good. These are the Zendikar's Royal, not Zendikar's Royal. The enchantment that I like. Mix 2/2 elementals. Sapperling tokens. And is it double-sided? They are. Beast tokens. The 5/5. Ooh, these are good for Omnath. Omnath tokens are good. And then bird tokens. So, anyway, that's what you get when you buy for $20 or even less. Sometimes you can find it for $15. That's what you find with Land's Wrath, the Zendikar Rising Commander deck. That's only the first one. The commander is Oben Moldaya Ancestor. It's the Naya version of the Zendikar Rising. I do have the black-blue or Dimir commander deck that I'm going to do as well. But this is the Land's Wrath version of their precons. As far as the question goes, if you're going to ask me, I personally think that for $20, this is probably the most worth it precon I've ever seen them make. Let's just be honest, most of their precons are full of really bad stuff. This one, I mean, Omnath alone covers most of your cost. After Omnath, you have other things. I mean, for me, Mina and Den is worth getting it just if you don't have it. Omnath is worth it. Seer's Sundial is worth it just if you don't have one, because you can use it for the colors it's in. You also get an Arcane Signet and a Soul Ring. I mean, this may be the most valuable, deck they've ever made for such. Circuitous Route is a good card if you don't have them for some reason. Evolution Stage is good. Far Wanderings are good. Harmonize is good. Keeper of Fables. There's a lot. Yes, the answer to the question that I'm going to tell you right now, I'm emphatically stating that if you buy any precon out of anything that Wizards ever made, you buy these Zendikar Rising ones. They are absolutely worth it. My opinion, I don't think I'm wrong. Anyway, that's this is one player's opinion. So, all right. So, again, this is not a cracking packs, but it is. This is my unboxing of the Zendikar Rising Commander decks. I ask you guys to do this every time. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Liking the video shows me you guys are watching, you're liking what you see. Subscribing to the channel shows me even more. I like the love. I'm up to 151. Hoping to get to about 200 by the end of next month. So let's keep it rolling. Sharing it out actually helps me get subscribers, so the more people who share it, the more love you get. I'm thinking of possibly trying to hold some type of a giveaway coming up. I just don't know what to do just yet. So once I figure it out, I'll let you guys know through whatever video happens to be at that time. and I will also share that stuff out on the Facebook page. Go to the Facebook page for any other news that you want to hear from me. I do stuff all the time. I put up stupid little things, and I even hold some of my whatchamacallits, my oh, I'm having a problem. Hold on. Some of my where I ask you guys your opinion on what you want to see. So polls, there we go. So anyway, that's all the time I got for this specific video. I got another one to make, and I'll probably be doing these in 2-day successions just because I'm more affected by the dental work than I thought. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Give me a shout out, Facebook page, comment section, whatever. I'd like to hear from you. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys next time.